Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm here today to do the astrology for December 2019. There will be no tarot cards in this. I'm just going to be looking at the charts for the rest of the month. And I actually want to start off by talking about January's astrology because everything that's going to happen in December of 2019 is really kind of a build up to this very big day of January 10th. Now, on January 10th, we have a conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, and all of those conjunct a lunar eclipse, right? And the nodes are not far off, and Jupiter's in Capricorn. He's a little too far out to be considered a conjunction. Some do. I don't. But that is, it's not a rare occurrence. It's like beyond rare. Already Saturn and Pluto conjuncting happens only every 30 something years. The last time was in 1982 in Libra. And then to put Mercury on that is another added, ingredient. But then on top of a lunar eclipse. So this is like major stuff. Now, I'm not a doomsday naysayer, right? Like, sky's falling. But I would be remiss to not underline the importance of an astrological alignment like this. Now, the way I kind of see it is usually when you put all attention towards something is coming, nothing tends to happen. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever lived like a train coming in and out of the tunnel. As the train starts approaching, it pushes all that air forward. So you start to feel it before it actually gets there. Then the train's in the station. Actually, nothing's happening because that's the one time that the energy is sort of still. And then as he takes off the train, it kicks up a whole other series of reactions. And I find that the transits are usually like that. So between now and that January 10th, there's a lot of things happening. We'll look at it in 1 second. I'll stop talking to you and focus on the charts. And so there's a lot of buildup leading up to that. And then on that day of January 10th, on top of everything else, Uranus stations to go direct. So as of January 10th until, and I have to check my dates. I didn't look at it yet, sorry. But all of the planets will be direct after that day for a short period of time. It usually doesn't last too long. A couple of months maybe. We'll see how long it is. So after this eclipse and after this conjunction, then all of the planets are in direct movement, right? And that's usually what happens is that's when we make all of our progress, which then for the rest of the year, we go back and correct and adjust through all of the retrogrades that happen. And Mars will be going retrograde this year in Aries also. So that's going to, at a certain point during the year, we're going to feel like really sucked out, but I'll talk about that another time. Anyway, I am going to make myself small and look at the chart. So give me 1 second. The activity for the month. Here's the calendar. On Sunday the 8th, the sun in Sagittarius will square Neptune in Pisces. Now, these are both mutable signs, so it could go either way. Could be lots of fun, creative day. Could also be a little bit difficult. Something your learning is at odds with your idealism. Venus sextile Neptune, that's a very nice aspect, brings pleasure, ability to lose oneself in sensuous desires. One good, one. On the 9th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. Now, Mercury is moving very fast this month because he is literally chasing the sun because he was retrograde in Scorpio. So he's trying to move as fast as possible. In fact, if you notice, Mercury goes into Sag on the 9th and then he goes into Capricorn on the 28th. So he changes 2 signs in the month of December. That means your thinking's going to be moving fast. Mercury in Sag is very expansive, thinking about big picture, thinking about how things leveling up, how if I look at things from the top of the mountain, what do they look like? It's also a little bit detached. It can be pontificating. your mind's going to be moving very fast, and then again it's going to switch. So you'll notice twice, like on today's the 5th, so you'll notice on the 9th one shift, and then again you're thinking on the 28th another shift. So don't feel like you're like, my mind's all over the place. It is all over the place, but it's moving fast because it has an appointment on the eclipse with Pluto, Saturn, and the Sun. So that's one thing. On the 11th, Venus will conjunct Saturn in Capricorn. Venus, it doesn't love being in Capricorn, or she's just really not the romantic side, the really contractual side. So this may be either you don't get what you want, like you want something very romantic, but you don't end up getting it, or it's less than you thought it would be, or you have difficulty asking for what you like. You know, it's the principle of sensuality meets a principle of longevity and stability, the Ice King, you know. So those are two energies that don't necessarily love each other. On the flip side could also be negotiations for a long-term contract, right? That in the joining of Venus and Saturn, it's not a romantic meeting, but it's a very healthy contractual one, that there is a promise of long-term stability over something that you care about. That could also be another thing. Sometimes sometimes it's not oppressive, it's depressive, right? Venus wants to be lovely and beautiful and flowy and stuff like that, and Capricorn's like cold and time and climbing mountains. So that's that. Then on the 12th, 12/12, there is a full moon in Gemini. Now the sun is on 20 Sagittarius and the moon is on 20 Gemini. The Sabian for the sun is men cutting through the ice, which is interesting because sun is in Sag. Jupiter, ruler of Sag, just moved into Capricorn, considered the ice kingdom. So it's like, that's sort of like a heralding of what Jupiter's going to be doing while he's in Capricorn. And then the moon is on 20 Gemini, which says a cafeteria with an abundance of options. And we've been talking about this for some time, and with that Mercury in Sag, things going from Mercury being in Scorpio, which was so laser focused on deep down desires, Mercury in Sag is going to bring you a ton of possibilities. Or we could do this, or we could do this, or I want to go here, or I want to go there. The Mercury in Sag mind moves fast, sometimes too fast. So at this full moon, you may suddenly be becoming very clear on what all of your options are, or you may be getting lots of options. Chiron goes direct in Aries on the 12th. That is the second to last planet that was in retrograde. The last one is obviously Uranus, as I mentioned before. On the 13th, Mars trines Neptune. Careful with water that day. Could be excessive water, particularly anytime Mars and Neptune meet, especially in water signs, watch your drinking. Venus conjunct Pluto. So very different than, she doesn't like being sandwiched between these two guys. So the 11th to the 13th, the Venus principle is going to feel a little, not battered and bruised because she's in Capricorn, but it's like, think about like being kind of the cute girl at a very stern board meeting. If she's on her game, it's not like a time to be flirty. It's a time to be really serious. And when she meets with Pluto, things are really serious. That is a very intense placement. So if you notice that you start getting a little bit high drama on the 13th, that's why. 15th, Jupiter trine Uranus is a lovely aspect, sort of like unexpected good luck. You might remember that these two were fighting while Jupiter was in Sagittarius. There was that 3-time happened Jupiter square Uranus, where it was like thwarted luck all the time. This time, they're both, Jupiter's in Cap, where he doesn't like to be. Uranus is in Taurus. He doesn't like to be there either. So the two of them like find each other at an uncomfortable party and decide to hang out and make it fun together. That's that. Then we cut through the end of the week here. We have Mars sextile Saturn. Very productive aspect because Mars is still in Scorpio. Saturn is in Capricorn. So there's going to be a lot of focus on getting things done. Mercury square Neptune, be careful of lies. Be careful lies you tell. Be careful the lies that are coming at you. This is something around communication is shrouded in fog. Venus, after this sort of rough week that she spends at the boardroom, flies off into the sky, into Aquarius, where she's just like she's pulling the plug, detaching herself from everything and just kind of taking a step back. The next day, the sun moves into Capricorn, and we have the equinox. On the 22nd, Mars sextile Pluto, because they're so close, the Saturn first, then Pluto after. That also is a very productive aspect. So that's nice energy, especially for getting stuff done. On the 24th, Sun trine Uranus, both in earth signs. Nice energy here also. So it could be a pleasant surprise, sort of like an earthly surprise, but they're working together, so it shouldn't be unpleasant. And then on the 26th, we have the new moon in Capricorn, which is at 4, I believe. And it is a solar eclipse. Now, it will not be visible. It'll only be visible in Asia, like the Middle East / Asia. But I wrote it down. Oh, here it is. Yes. So listen to the Sabian for this. So the Sabian is Indians on the warpath. While some men row a canoe, others perform a war dance, right? So you have this energy here. And then boom, Sun conjuncts Jupiter, who just got in there. Boom, Mercury comes into Capricorn. It's like the guys are starting to line up as they move towards this January 10th moment, right? So things really start building towards the end of the month. Now, let me just see if I can there we go. Okay, so this is the chart of the moment. We talked about this. I won't go too into it because I already talked about them. Sun is in Sag. Jupiter has just moved into Capricorn. This energy so here's kind of what I've noticed. Okay, so I don't know if you watch Downton Abbey. There's a scene in Downton Abbey where the matriarch of the aristocratic family is at a dinner, and she's with a younger relative who is part of sort of the new generation. He's not as aristocratic. He represents the changing of the times in the story, right? And he is a doctor. So he's telling everyone at the table that he's so, at the weekend, he's going to do this, and he has these plans at the weekend, and blah, blah, blah. And the dowager says to everyone, she says, what's a weekend? Because when you're that aristocratic and you don't have to work and you don't even know what a day is, right? So there's no work week and a weekend. There's just days. That's how the energy kind of felt when Jupiter was in Sagittarius. Now that it's in Capricorn, which is the sign of time, Saturn rules Capricorn and he is the father of time. You become very conscious of where you are in relation to time. You don't have enough, you've wasted some, you're in a hurry. Suddenly, there may even feel like there is not, like you're missing time, right? Like there's not enough time to get the things done that you need to get done. So that's the first thing. The other thing I've kind of noticed is that, when you go on a date or you go on a business or a job interview or any sort of important meeting, right? There's a whole process that happens before that important meeting where you think about how to get there, you think about what you're going to wear, and maybe you do, if you're a girl, you do facials or you clean yourself, get your nails done. So there's a whole preparation for meetings that are very important. And that's sort of the energy that's been coming in right now. And also maybe because it's Capricorn, and Capricorn is very interested in it's perception in the world, how the other world perceives it. It's your 10th house, 10th solar house, particularly for Aries. So that's, what you project to the world. So you may suddenly find yourself more interested in how the world is perceiving you. You may go on a diet. You may get your hair cut. You may start doing a new, skin routine. You may buy new clothes. You may get a new job. So there's some sort of re-identification. Like you've suddenly become very conscious of how the rest of the world is defining you. And that in brief is that Jupiter moving into Capricorn. And that's the energy that's been kind of like weird. Like, when somebody puts a coat on you for a second, you're not sure if you like it or not. We're still getting used to it. It's going to take a little while before it feels comfortable. But at the beginning right now, there's kind of that, like, I would say mild anxiety, but it's not really anxiety. It's not like the Virgo kind of anxiety, just this feeling that like, maybe we should be doing more, maybe I should be doing this, or maybe I should be doing that, so suddenly conscious of a different set of concerns than you were a week ago. Here's that Venus happening right there. Okay, it's only going to show me this one. I had 3 different things. Let me try one more thing. Sorry. Continue to scroll. Okay, there we go. So this is the 12-12 chart. So this is the full moon. Yes. As I said, you see Saturn, Venus, and Pluto, one right after the other. Here's that Mars and Neptune. Here's that. And you see how here, so it's like Jupiter, when we get to, and let me just go straight to it. This is the eclipse chart. When we get to this, Jupiter, okay, so Jupiter is conjunct that eclipse. This is the new moon solar eclipse. And as you can see, it's loosely conjunct the south node. South node is at 8 degrees. So all of this is happening. And in my Advent calendar, we've been seeing a lot of karma coming up. And this will be, particularly with Jupiter over the south node, that's going to be a very sort of benevolent releasing of past life karma. So this is, and it's a solar eclipse. So solar eclipses usually kick things off as opposed to a lunar eclipse. So it's like kicking off a release or learning from the past. So this may be an interesting, like everything that happened here in the Sagittarius while Jupiter was transiting here, we may get this very clear suddenly. Also because you can see where that Mercury is. He's at 25 Sagittarius, which is very close to that whistleblower's degree, which is 27 at the galactic center. So expect I think you can expect so you can expect lots of information, I think. But it's like there will be an expansion of, I feel like, plans, right? Like everything before it was about understanding the desire, understanding the situation from a different perspective. Mars finishing up its transit here of Scorpio. So it's like, this is what I really want to make happen. And this is sextiling here, this Pluto I talked about. So that's like, once you get very clear on what it is that you desire, which is this Scorpio, these two are helping it happen. And so Mercury here with this, at that conjunction at the eclipse, I believe is going to offer some very, very useful information that Jupiter is going to need as he transits the rest of Capricorn into how to concretely, long-term build this big plan that you've got going on for yourself, for your life, that's the shift on your past. Like this is the turning point of change. Once this stuff clears the south node, that's a very big karmic release. And I think with this Mercury here at that galactic center, you're going to like get positive communication from the galaxy that this has happened. So there might be some sort of very clear communication that comes in for you around Christmas time about a karmic contract that's been resolved and that is now free. All right, so I'm going to stop here. Hopefully this was helpful. I will see you next time for the tarot cards, and have a great day. Take care.